Hi everyone, today I would like to share with you how do you write a successful personal statement for your National Innovation Visa. I have been approached a lot of candidates who sharing their personal statement with me, but I feel that their personal statement does not stand out, so it doesn't help them with the application. What is the purpose of National Innovation Visa? And then why are you writing a personal statement? So you need really understand the audience of your personal statement. Now, the audience of this personal statement, they are not your colleagues, they are not your boss, they are immigration officers. So, and the purpose of your writing statement, personal statement, is to convince someone to make a decision in your favor. Which means it's a persuasion. It's a persuasion. The purpose should be convincing someone to make a decision in your favor. Now you should consider and pitch yourself within your personal statement. So a personal statement should be considered as the same thing as a pitch deck, as something you go to talk to sharks. That's talking to them, convince them to invest into ideas. Of course, not just ideas, you have something to back up because you have supporting documents, you have reference letters, income, you have things like that, right? But before an investor wanting to do due diligence with you, they must say yes. They must say, yes, I would like to understand more about your company. Yes, I think you worthwhile. I think the benefits you could have with me could outweigh the potential risk I'm going with you, right? So the benefits is greater in long term than the current risk and potentially probably make mistakes, right? So when you talk to the investor, you need to have a pitch deck to show you that why your product going to make them a good return. They are not interested in who you are. They're not interested about, how your product is beautiful. They interested in return. The same thing of the immigration officer. They interested how much you can bring to Australia. They want to see long-term return. So you are going to convince them. Pitch deck, therefore, it's really convince an investor to make cash investment directly to you, okay? So same thing in immigration. Immigration wants to invest into you. They say, okay, I made a decision to give you a permanent visa today. Is that likely that I have a return in the future? So this is a future visa. Now, when we figure out who's our audience with immigration officer, the purpose of that is to convince immigration to make decision in your favor, and that you should persuade them, consider your personal statement as a pitch deck. So this is the first step you must consider. You must make sure of that before doing anything further. Okay, doing anything further. If you don't even understand the audience, you thought this is kind of an essay. I'm going to write an essay about my whole story, biography, right? This is kind of things like an interview. This is kind of describing whatever I did. Nothing to do with persuasion. So this is really different type of work. One is persuasion and one is description. A lot of your candidates is really focused on what's the difference. I'm going to just write it out. No. Let me tell you, we have helped candidates, lots of candidates who are marginal in their profile, right? Marginal. We got permanent visa for them. I also have candidates who approach me. The profile is much higher stage. They haven't got permanent visa approved. They got rejected. And what's the reason? Not because they're not good enough, but just because they don't know how to present themselves. Even they may be a good idea. If you take a longer time, 10 years to get something done, consider someone just use 10 minutes. What does it matter? It does. It does matter, right? Even you're really successful, but if you cannot pitch yourself well, you sell yourself low. That's why the case is failed. It's really not about your profile, what did I do not. It's because you don't even understand. The case officer, it's investor. Now, after you figure out the first steps, identifying the personal statement, it's actually a pitch. Who you want to convince. A second one is what kind of this pitch deck is. What I think that what people want to know, right? Everything, your goal, it's very direct. Everything you talk, everything you mention, everything you write in your personal statement should be just focused on single goal, nothing else. Single goal of persuasion. So if something it's not relevant to this goal, don't mention it. Nobody care. For instance, for investor, what we want to consider is whether you are the person I want to invest, not just your team. We want to know if you experience difficulties, what would you be doing, and how you actually overcome barriers. Maybe that's important for that kind of market. All right. Maybe your passion is important to investor. Why is that? Because I want to know whether you are just a speculator, which that investor do. They want you to be a working person, entrepreneur, get products out of market. And then they want to say you are a resilient person. That is related to what they want to see. They don't want to see that your qualification is, you've done a lot of studies here, that they just everything only when you mention that it's related to the goal. If you're working in a biotech company, they want you to have medical, biotechnology, biology background. That type of qualification is really relevant to the product. But if someone's qualification it's not relevant to their work, now you need to convince them why this actually make a connection, right? So that pitch should be really, really focused on persuasion. And then all the word, facts, information you describe in your personal statement should be just focusing on telling, convince people, make decision in your favor, and that with one single goal. If that's nothing element of your qualification, it's not related, probably don't mention it. Probably mention it in a way that it's in your advantage, in that can advance your application. People are actually saying things really funny. They could say things in personal statements saying, I have a family to look after, or I have so many kids, the age that I like Australia very much. Oh, well, I do, I know, but why I'm going to do that? Everybody say so, right? I like to do this work. It's not enough for you to say I like it. When an investor invests into your product idea, it's not enough for you to say I like it. What happens? You found out next moment, right? We want to see that you consistently able to reach this goal. So whatever mentioning about your achievement and then what you make decision in your lifetime need you to become a high performer and future growth from there. Really, really helping them to set the goal for the immigration officer. So first of all, you need to understand, this is pitch deck second one. You need to understand the purpose of that. It's all the information you tell the immigration. It's really focusing on one goal. Okay. The third one I want to mention is about how to write it. How to write a introduction. As simple as that. Lots of candidates ask me that. So instead, I'm not saying how to write introduction. I'm telling you the third point. It's not how to write introduction. Instead, you should start how to write a conclusion first. Why is that? Because when you see the actual feeling, the permanent visa, it's a future visa. They're begging you to give you a permanent visa so that you will do this in the future with some line of evidence alongside. But this is a future visa. If you do not describe your future elements in your conclusion, that your whole ton of information you describe in a personal statement will be just a summary of what you did. Like a skill migration. You just say, I did here, I did there, I did that. Which year I did here. That's what I did. Yeah, I study here, I work here, I've got paid here, bam, 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 that's it. Right? That's boring. So you should focus. Third point, I'm saying that you should focus on conclusion first. Then you come back for the introduction. Then you focus about what? Assist, then come to the fourth point. When you write introduction or write an entire personal statement, you have only one single aim. Allow your audience, allow your reader to finish reading your essay. Okay. That comes to the questions people ask me about, hey, how many pages should I write? How many paragraphs should I write? How many words should I write? No, you don't need to focus that. If your story cannot be finished within 2 pages because it doesn't feel full. It's feel lacking. Then you should write more. If your story, maybe for lots of candidates, I prefer less shorter story. You're able to finish 3 pages, 2 pages, then you shouldn't write 5. It's funny though, a lot of candidates has exposed to EB1A kind of statement thing, and a ton of that, 20 pages of things that I feel it's just awful. Nobody reading. That's why your application takes 7 years and have got a visa approval. Why is that? Because you just write something nobody want to read. Okay? So really focus about writing something so someone, your audience, your reader can finish reading. Now the only goal actually for your introduction, it's finish reading your introduction and then move on your main paragraph. Yeah? The second paragraph. That's the only goal you need to meet. Then come to the introduction. Of course, people ask really specific questions about, I'm going to write the first sentence, second sentence, third sentence. The first sentence you're going to write, today I'm going to share you exactly that's how you're going to write. You're going to not write something like, I did qualification. This is my qualification. Okay. We want to know who you are. The first part of the introduction, who you are and what you are becoming. The second part of the introduction. So that theme can be echoed for the first paragraph, and the final paragraph you should be echoed. Because first paragraph is about who you are, what you are becoming. And the final one say, I'm becoming this so I can benefit or share in what way. Got it? Subscribe my channel. If you have any questions, hit the link. We have an assessment for everybody